This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Wednesday, March 15th, 2023. I'm Alex Brown. The executive director of the Economic Development Corporation of Greensburg, Decatur County, says Honda's announcement yesterday that it intends to move production of the Accord sedan to Indiana sends a strong signal of stability for the plant and its workers. Brian Robbins says the automaker has shared few details about the move, other than it intends to begin production of the Accord at the Indiana auto plant by 2025.
I think anytime a company decides to move one of its core products to your facility for manufacturing, I think that's a show of commitment and stability and belief in what you do at your plant and those associates that work there.
Robbins says when the 1.3 million square foot plant in Greensburg was built, flexibility to shift production was key. Louisville-based Farm Credit Mid-America has announced it will return $230 million in cash patronage to eligible customers this month. The cooperative, which serves producers in Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee, says many of the members use the money to pay down loans, help cover operating costs, and buy new machinery. Grace College in Kosciuszko County has developed a new accelerated path to help people who already hold a bachelor's degree to earn an elementary education teaching license. The school says its transition to teaching elementary program will allow students to earn the license in 18 months and intends to break down barriers keeping those interested in the teaching profession from getting licensed. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Get ready, Southwest Indiana. We're headed your way. IBJ Media, Inside Indiana Business, and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation invite you to the second annual Engage Southwest Indiana event presented by Indiana University and Old National Bank, Tuesday, April 11th at the Old National Events Plaza in Evansville. We'll be diving into regional and statewide initiatives with a focus on talent, education, and issues shaping our economy. It's all about advancing the future of Indiana. More at ibj.com/engage.
The Vigo County Council on Tuesday voted to table a request for $500,000 in funding for a multi-million-dollar project in Terre Haute. Our partners at WTWO-TV report the move came at the request of the CEO of Mental Health America of West Central Indiana, which is leading the effort. The organization is looking to add more than 40 low-income housing units to the city, as well as establish a new diversion center to work with incarcerated individuals. CEO Myra Wilkie.
We made that in the best interest of the project. I think there's a possible other funding sources that we may be eligible for that we did not previously know about.
Wilkie did not specify what the other funding sources would be. The organization has already secured about $13.7 million for the project. An Indianapolis-based nonprofit has won the $100,000 grand prize in the inaugural Mapped Solutions Transformation Challenge. Happy Hollow Children's Camp, which operates an overnight camp in Brown County for kids from underprivileged areas of Indianapolis and kids with disabilities, says it will use the funding to reestablish its vision through strategic planning. Glaucoma is a leading cause of blindness in the U.S., but more than half of the cases are undiagnosed because early warning signs are unnoticeable. An Indiana startup has its sights set on commercializing high-tech contact lenses that could detect glaucoma and delay its progression.
Indianapolis-based BVS Sight is the first company launched through a partnership between Boomerang Ventures and the Purdue Research Foundation. Glaucoma is caused by increased intraocular pressure, or IOP, which leads to progressive vision loss. Because there's no cure, slowing the disease by reducing IOP can help maintain vision. IOP is typically only measured during a clinical visit, but Purdue Biomedical Engineering Associate Professor Dr. Chi-Wan Lee has developed a technology that prints an IOP monitor onto commercially available soft contact lenses. Lee says the lenses could monitor a patient's IOP 24/7 rather than just during office visits.
As an engineer, my ultimate goal is to empower these patients and help them take control of their condition. So I really want to bring our technology out of university and actually make an actual real-world impact to leave them longer and healthier and lead more fulfilling lives.
Glaucoma is known to cause the most damage during sleep, so Lee says the contacts can connect to an alarm that would wake patients who could then put in eye drops to reduce IOP. Kylie Valletta, Inside Indiana Business, Radio.
Wholesale price increases in the United States slowed sharply last month as food and energy costs declined, a sign that inflationary pressures may be easing as the Federal Reserve considers whether to keep raising interest rates to fight higher prices.
From January to February, the government's Producer Price Index fell 0.1% after a 0.3% rise from December to January. Compared with a year ago, wholesale prices rose 4.6%, a big drop from the 5.7% annual increase in January. A significant driver of last month's wholesale inflation slowdown was a huge drop in the price of eggs, which plummeted 36% in February alone. Egg prices had previously surged after a widespread outbreak of avian flu. Excluding volatile food and energy cost, so-called core wholesale prices were unchanged from January to February. The core measure can provide a better reading of longer-term inflation trends. Compared with a year ago, core prices rose 4.4%, down from 5% annual increase in January. The producer price data reflects prices charged by manufacturers, farmers, and wholesalers, and it flows into an inflation gauge that the Federal Reserve closely tracks. It can provide an early sign of how fast consumer inflation will rise. Wednesday's wholesale figures follow a report Tuesday on consumer prices that showed inflation is still rising faster than the Fed would prefer. Wes Mills, Inside Indiana Business, Radio on Demand.
Newfield's CEO Colette Pierce Burnett is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, and entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.